Today is going to be my 2023 collection wrapped. I'm just going to kind of talk about my collection over the year, what's changed, what stayed the same, what my goals had been, and just hopefully set a standard for myself to keep better track of my collections going forward and these changes or whatever. So let's just get right into it. So I feel like for a little bit of context, we need to go back to 2022 because obviously that's when I kind of figured out my 2023 goals, and there were a lot of changes that had happened in 2022. So I have been collecting since 2019, but 2022 is probably the most significant year maybe in my collecting journey. 2022, even 2021 really, all I really collected was OT4 Setchis, Ituk from Super Junior, and Johnny from NCT 127. In the very beginning of 2022, I picked up Kun, Xiaojin, Henduri, and Yang Yang from Wavy, then added OT6 Astro, picked Minya, Kian, Hyungwon, Changkyun up in Monster X again, then Jinu and Hunu from Winner, Chinwan from Icon, Minhyuk from B2B, Sunghwa, Hangjung, Yuno, Wooyoung in 80s, and then OT6 Beyond Harmony. And I did a lot of miscellaneous collecting. Like, I finally felt comfortable having miscellaneous collections. So, because before I was like, I have to collect it all or I can't collect it kind of thing. So it was just kind of a lot. And my accomplishments, what I had wanted to do that year was finish Seshki's, keep up with Tuk and Johnny. I finished Kun that year, basically finished the rest of Wavy. I think I was still missing a couple of random cards, CCs, and then basically finished OT6 Astro, basically finished OT6 P1. I just, there was a couple cards that I had bought but didn't receive until 2023, so that's why it's technical. But anyway, a lot had happened to go from collecting very little to collecting a lot. Like I picked up somebody pretty much every couple weeks. So all of that kind of built up to a head with OT6P1, and I knew from there then it would kind of start to fall and I'd slowly stop collecting so much. As expected, my biggest 2023 goal was figuring out what the hell I wanted to collect, because I knew idols I wanted to collect, but I didn't know do I want to do them all the way I do Ituk and Johnny, which is everything? Do I want to just do album cards? Do I just want to do this or that? Especially since ATs is so fucking difficult to trade for. It's ridiculous because of all the fan calls and goes and stuff. Trading is so difficult. So I got so frustrated trying to work on album cards for them. And also, if there's weird noises in the background, just ignore it. They're plowing my parking lot. But it was just kind of frustrating. And so there were bits of frustration with a lot of different collections. Oh yeah, and then Wavy, I was do I do Kinos for everybody? Do I do them just for Kun? Do I do CCs for everybody? Because those are so hard to find sometimes. And it was just a whole thing. So I was you know what? 2023, I just need to figure it out. Finishing OT6 Astro was another thing I really wanted to do. Because, technically I finished them in 2022. I was still waiting for, I think, a couple MJ, Sana, and maybe a Moonbin. But then Incense was right at the beginning of January. So then I knew that even though I would finish it right early in 2023, and actually I don't think I even had all the cards on hand I don't think I got the last Moonbin card I needed until after Incense came out. So I had really wanted to finish Incense, and then keep up with whatever else happened in that year. Obviously, things didn't go the way we would have expected in 2023 for Astro, and regardless, like, the photo cards are the least important thing. But I did end up finishing Incense, even though assholes took advantage and way overpriced Moonbin's cards. Did get them finished. And then, Rockiest, I didn't finish, but I don't have half my albums. I only have a couple of them so far, so that also, I'm going to say, doesn't count. Stay caught up with OT6 P1, that was a big goal of mine, and I did that really well, actually. Well, really well, kind of well, because I still had to finish Set In, which, like, I had the cards on the way, I just needed them to arrive and hope I didn't get scammed. And then for All In, that was actually fairly quick. I ended up kind of prioritizing Pobs, so I actually didn't finish album cards until quite a bit longer after the comeback. Because in my collecting experience, a lot of these younger 4th gen groups, the ones that have a million video call events and stuff, there's no point in worrying about the album cards. Because it's just, like, I was able to get a bunch super cheap from a sell at K-Seller once, like, the fan call stuff had died down. There was no reason for me to worry about it. Even there was one in-top card that I was like, ooh, this one might be a little tricky. And then that one was like 4,001, when the rest were like 2 or 3. But not difficult at all still. Another really big priority of mine was 100% finishing Monster X. They were kind of frustrating for me to collect because I had collected them when I first started collecting for quite a while, and then I ended up dropping them. So I had a really decent amount of their cards, and although I still, like, kind of kept up with some of their cards, and there were some cards I had for the whole time, like, I really wasn't part of the Monster X collecting community, so I didn't see how the prices had changed, and it was insane. Like, I am used to be so cheap, and then suddenly all of his older cards were literally impossible to find, or they were like $20, $30. Prices had gone up so much, especially for older cards. Even like the Take 1 and 2 albums, I was used to paying $4 or $5 max for those cards. Most of them I had to pay $6 to $8, and it was just so different. So I was like, you know what, let's just get it done and get caught up. And then they started going to the military too, so I was like, oh, I really want to, because I really would like to. One of my little goals is for all my military men to finish them before they come back. Now, if you've been following me a while, you've seen, like, if you've been following me on Instagram, one of my goals I always had is just, like, be happy with my collection. Because I never want it to stress me out. I don't want to feel pressured into collecting anything, or just, like, genuinely bothered, you know? Like, I complain a lot, but I'm not actually, like, I just complain to complain, kind of. I'm not actually upset. Like, if they're members of a group or certain cards I don't want to collect, like, I don't collect them. And if I bitch about having to collect a lot of cards for a comeback, it's not that I don't really want to do it. It's just that I like to complain about the amount of work. So, just that little disclaimer. But besides those goals, I don't think I really had anything else. Just kind of refining my collection, figuring it out, organizing it especially. Next, let's just kind of go over the major changes of my collection in 2023. So first, who I picked up. Eunhyuk from Super Junior technically was like December 28th or 30th last year. I was maybe more than a little inspired by his SMCU photo cards. And plus I was like, you know what? I fucking finished Uno from Astro. And I finished him before some of the other members. So, like, if I can collect him I can collect anybody. So, because way back when I first was collecting some members of Super Junior, it was Ituk, Hyesung, and Eunhyuk. So I was like, I can do it. I'm going to pick him back up. And I did, and it's been really nice. OT8SF9 is another group. Technically, I did collect OT9, and then Rowan left, and I dropped it down to OT8. Like, nothing personal against him or anything. I just, like, the whole time I had been getting into them and stuff, I barely could find any content with him, and just, like I'm not a drama person, so I didn't know about SF9 because of him. I was just like, there's just no connection for me with him. So I was like, you know what, let's give these cards to some fans who would enjoy him better. And because I am a bit of a completionist, so that is why I had collected him. So then I was like, you know what, this is the better option. So I started with SF9 in January, like January 9th was in song, and then I added Jaeyoon, Jewel, Huyoung, Youngbin over the next couple weeks really. But it very quickly escalated into OT8 or OT9, OT8, whatever, because they very, very quickly became my ults. So my ult groups are Setchi, Super Junior, Monsta X, SF9, Astro, and P1 Harmony. So collecting OT for 5 of them, and then collecting Ituk and Eunhyuk for 1 of them. OT5 CIX is another group. They're a kind of. I had originally collected OT5 of them a couple summers ago, ended up dropping it, but never fully sold all my cards off. So they kind of for a couple years were like one of my only miscellaneous collections, because like there was one handset card I never could sell, and then I ended up buying one of their albums from my friend that came with photo cards, kept the photo cards. When my mom and I went to LA, I ended up getting another one of their albums, so it was kind of inevitable. And when Save Me, Kill Me, the pre-orders were opening up for that and stuff, I was like, you know what, I think it's time. And finally, well actually, but even before that, when I was using Pokemarket, they were on Pokemarket, so earlier in the year, I had started like buying random cute cards theirs. And I was like, you know what, let's just go in, let's collect OT5, because I still can't figure out a bias. Another group is OT5 and Flying. Again, well actually not again, but they're one of the groups that I've liked for a long time, but like I like their music and stuff, and then I finally was like, you know what, let's get into them. And after that I was like, okay, let's collect them. And again, couldn't really pick a bias, so I was like, you know what, OT5, why not? Plus, they've just got some really nice sets, especially Dearest. Stunning. So the next group that I picked up was ONEWE. I have been listening to them since very early 2019, but never ended up collecting them. I actually did like buy a few of their albums without cards, but never sealed, so I never had any of their photo cards. I loved Geek's first solo album so much that I was like, okay, you know what, maybe we should collect ONEWE. So I started with his cards, and then just was like, you know what, let's go for OT5. They have some really nice cards. And I've got like most of the more recent ones done. It's just the earlier ones that'll be harder. Next was my semi-impulsive decision to collect 17. At one point I was choosing Joshua, Wonu, DK, Mingyu, Seungkwan, and Dino as who I was collecting. And that was mainly because A, I was finding it really hard to figure out my bias, and B, I just, like, my mom and I ended up getting them in our albums a lot, so it's just easier to keep it than try and trade. So that's why I was like, okay, let's start with these people, and then over the year I'll narrow it down, which I did, actually, very surprisingly. If we jump over to the other side real quick, we'll see that I did indeed drop Joshua, Wanu, and Seungkwan. I'm still deciding on Dino. I'm back and forth. So I haven't figured that out yet. And I did keep quite a few cards of Seungkwan, Joshua, Wanu, but so I kept a couple of the cute cards and just dropped the rest, and then I'm going to try not to collect them going forward. So we'll see how that works out for me. I also picked up and then, I also dropped and then picked up Lino from Stray Kids again. Because I was originally collecting him, and then after 5-star, I was like, I wasn't really the biggest fan of the last couple comebacks, so I don't know if I should really keep collecting him. But then after, not 5-star, shit. Whatever the La 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 album was. Rockstar, duh, oh my god. After Rockstar came out, then I was like, you know what? Let's just keep miscellaneous cards for him. So that's what I ended up doing, thankfully. Also, in the process of editing this video, I ended up deciding to drop Dino, I think. Like, 98% sure. Oops. And then lastly, for people I dropped, I did end up dropping Hamjung, because collecting 4 ATEEZ members was kind of a lot. Especially with how many cute cards they do, and the fact that I collect Seonghwa. So, yeah, it's sad, but it needed to be done. Lastly, I put a bunch of miscellaneous cards, but now that I think about it, I'm like, what did I drop from miscellaneous? Subin. Sun Twice, and I think that's it. Next, let's try and quickly go over whatever I finished. So first, I did end up finishing all of Monsta X, which is way better than I had initially hoped for. So that is probably one of my favorite accomplishments of 2023, was finishing them. So I'd like to do Kian's Kinos and the IM's like US press overdrive cards for 2024, but that's not like a super big deal for me because I still consider myself done with him. I also, and this is probably the most insane thing I've ever done, finished OTA SF9. And actually, I didn't think this was going to happen, but I even ended up getting all the cards on hand before the end of the year. I got the last card I needed, I think, maybe even before. I think I got it before. Yeah, I got it before Christmas. Because it was, Duo Sensuous. And I got that before Christmas. So that, oh boy, I don't even know how many cards that was, but it was a lot. And I did it all. I started collecting InSong January 9th of 2023. So, never again, but I am insanely proud of myself for doing that. That's the biggest collection slay I've got. So now, these are the kindas. Jinwon Icon is a kinda because, like, I don't have all of his cards, but I have, like, the core album ones that I really wanted, and the rest I'm like, meh. Because he was, like, I kind of ended up dropping him down to, like, a miscellaneous type collection. So I say I kind of finished him because I really, like, I'm not going to seek out any cards. If I see a card for a good price and I actually don't have it, then I'd go for it, but I'm comfortable with where he is at right now. And so that's the same story for Minhyuk from B2B, and then Xiaojun, Henry, and Yang Yang. And especially since I'm kind of thinking about dropping Yang Yang, I'm like, I'm back and forth. For now, I think I'm not, but we'll see. And then I stayed caught up for Ituk. As usual, he's never too difficult. Stayed caught up for Johnny, although technically... So I made this before... I forgot about the, whatchamacallit, their special winter single album. So technically it should say kinda because I did pre-order one of each version and then... Or one of each, like, album. And then I'll get the S Mini on Nyoko or something. So he's a kinda caught up, but... And actually Kun should be too, because I didn't end up finishing On My Youth yet. But I think I have some buy requests on Nyoko, and like I'm not worried about it. So, but I did say it with Golden Age and Fandom, so. But for the sake of my sanity, I consider anything, or at least like after November, like in that November to December time, it's kind of in limbo. So yes, it came out in 2023, but I have no expectation to have it finished in 2023 because I usually give myself like 3 months if I want to like finish it right away because you have to account for shipping and stuff. So 3 months after November is February. No, January, if you count November. But that's why OT6 Astro is also a kinda because of Rocky. Let's skip down to them quick because I'm not finished with Rocky. I will be. But other than that, I stayed caught up with Incense and then haven't had anything for MJ Jinjin Uno yet. And lastly, OT6 P1, stayed caught up. Honestly, hot take, besides those 2 GN cards that every P1 Harmony collector will know what I'm talking about, they are the easiest group I've collected, I think. It's ridiculously easy. So it's kind of nice. Nice and easy to stay caught up with. Oh, and then I almost forgot. While editing this, I finished Youngie on the 29th of December. So 2 days before I post this, I finished him. I got the last card of his in the mail, so didn't have time to add him to the PowerPoint. But he's all done. Lastly, what are my 2024 goals? Which, it's intense, but I think it's manageable. So first, I really want to further flesh out my ult collections. So if you follow me on Instagram, if you followed me for a while, you'll have heard me say, like, do it like I do Johnny or Ituk. For them, I'll basically collect everything. Any merch card, season's greetings, pobs, whatever. If I can get my hands on it, I'll try and collect it. Johnny, I don't actively seek out everything. Ituk, I do. So there's just that tiny difference. Like Johnny, it's more if I can find deals on it. But Ituk, if there's a new merchandise that's going to have photo card, I will buy it right away. So because of that, those two, like, I'm kind of already doing that. And then with Jackie, they're not really active, so not much to do there. But Astro, Monster X, SF9, and P1, I can work on them and kind of not exactly do it the way I do Johnny and Ituk, but do it more similarly because those groups are my ults and they mean just as much to me. So I feel like it makes sense in my mind. So for Astro, my focus, well, they're the one I don't really have a focus on. It's just kind of anything. Any and all non-album, because I've got some season's greetings, I've got some fan club, I've got some pubs. So just kind of any and anything and get a good basis for a non-album, because I mean, I do have a decent chunk right now, but it's really mainly MJ and Senna. So I need to kind of round it out. Like I have maybe like 2-3 Jinjin Pops. So I really got to work on that. For Monster X, first there's what I was going to, like I mentioned, it's Kion and IM, the US press, and then the Kino kit, or the youth Kino. And then in general, I think Fantasia, Fatal Love, or actually I think everything from Follow On, I think, has a Kino, maybe. So, and I don't have any of those. So that would be something to work on. And then unit cards, mainly just like the cute ones. For SF9, I want to work on Kinos or kits. I'm going to use both interchangeably, sorry. But I have, there's only two, I think. No, three. There's one for Glorious, one for Turnover, and one for Rumination. I have all three for Jewel, and I know Glorious is going to be the hard one, so I'm not super worried about that. But I've got like 4 Turnover and 3 Rumination, I think. I've got Jewel for both, Huyang for both, Insung for both, and then, no, 5 for Turnover, because I think I have Youngbin and Jaeun's. And I do have a decent set of broadcast cards already, but I'd like to, because I'm waiting on a pending purchase, so if that goes through, then I'll have one broadcast for everybody. But it would be really nice if by the end of the year I had like a set, which, I mean, hopefully with the new album, I'll be able to get most of the broadcasts right away, but we'll see. Now P1, that's where I really want to focus on broadcasts, is because I have all of Jungsoob's now. I think I'm missing 1 Intalk, and then I'm missing like 3 each of all the other members. So it might be kind of annoying and difficult, but I think I should be able to get it done. And then unit cards, also I think I'll prioritize a bit more than regular POBs, because I do have a lot of POBs. And I do like kind of want to work on getting OT6 sets of all the random POBs I have, but that's going to be a fucking chore to organize. So I don't want to tell myself I'm going to do that and then not end up doing it and feel bad about it. I'll just leave it as an option, because obviously I've got a lot going on, so. And the next is to finish my OT5s. So that's CIX, Onewee, and then Flying. CIX, I just finished Youngie, so I think they'll be the first I do, because I only need like, the only hard part is the OK Not jewel cases. Because I only have Sunloon and Youngie's, but the rest, like, besides those cards, I really only need like 4 or 5 for each member, if that. So I think I can do it. Onewee, like I said earlier, is going to be kind of tricky because of the older cards, but again, I think I can do it. And then N Flying also should be manageable. One thing I'm just worried about is Yahoo. Like, that I might have to give up on. So we'll see. And lastly is just kind of figure out what I want to do with everybody else. Because I don't have a lot of like organized wish lists or any goals or anything really. They're just kind of like, because they're not as important to me, because a friend once mentioned, was like asking me why I collect so many members for this group when a group I like way more I only collect 1 member for. And that really kind of made me reconsider who and how I collect. And so that's kind of stuck with me. I do have a nice binder set up where I have a good spot for miscellaneous cards now. It's just kind of deciding what I want to be miscellaneous. And it's just kind of like, is that where my Jinwon or Minhyuk or Lino collections, is that where I want to go? What about Seonghwa or Yuno or Mingyu or Wooyoung? So I just kind of have some thinking to do there. But I'll figure it out eventually. And then I didn't put this on the bullet point, but my usual is always just be happy with what I'm collecting and to not let it stress me out or overwhelm me too much. I do like to bitch about it. Like, I complain all the time. But it's more just like complaining to complain. I'm not genuinely like stressed out. Like I'll complain about, oh, the ATs has so many cute cards this comeback or whatever, but it's not like genuinely stressing me out where I feel like I have to collect them all. Like if I get to that point, then that's not good. So I'm trying not to do that. And I know as much as I plan things out, things will change. So who knows if I'll do any of this next year or if I'll even collect these people next year at the end of the year. Like, who knows? I'm a bit crazy with my collecting. So it's just kind of a time will tell. Like these are kind of be my guidelines going into it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they change. And that's the one thing is like I want to be flexible with my collections. That's been one of my biggest goals, like in general, is just be flexible with your collection. And I think I'm getting pretty good at that. So yeah, that's my plan for this year. We'll see how it goes. See you later.